It's time to sit back and check out the RCWR show with Lee Sanders. Get fun, in-depth coverage and analysis from the latest in professional wrestling in AEW, WWE, NWA, Impact Wrestling, or the world of entertainment. From hit TV shows to your favorite sports like the NBA or NFL. All things music, movies, and beyond, while trying to make sense of this crazy world we live in. All while keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive since 2011. And now your hosts, live from the nation's capital of Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
What is going on, fam? It is, my God, a few minutes past 4:30 a.m. on the East Coast. Coming on live for a very good reason. There's no breaking news. Nobody passed away, at least not that we are aware of just yet. No. We are on because we are just minutes removed from the live WWE Hall of Fame 2025 ceremony. It wrapped up on the cock. Talking about that peacock. Come one, come all, whether you're checking this out live or you'll be checking this out later on during the day, because I mean, it's here. It's pretty much WrestleMania weekend. We're finally here and everything. Welcome, but my God, excruciating, man. I gotta tell you, and I'm not even talking about the Hall of Fame ceremony. Like, first things first. I'm great to be back on the air with you guys because I have been sick for the past several days. I'll talk more about it on the Monday show, but things just got out of whack and I am like at 70%. And like I was saying to my professor on Thursday, as at that point I was at 60%. He was like, "How are you feeling? Are you sure you want to be in class today?" I said, "I would rather take me at 60% than a few days prior, and I was at 0. So you're getting me at 70%. Just work with me. We're going to get through this together." But first things first, in talking about the WWE Hall of Fame ceremony, I just want to give thoughts, condolences, prayers, nothing but love to the friends, colleagues, family of one Kevin Castle. Kevin Castle from the Don Tony Kevin Castle show. I had already put something out several days prior, and it was before everything had hit the fan with me getting sick and all that. But I couldn't help but think a lot about Kevin as I was watching tonight's WWE Hall of Fame ceremony. And, you know, Kevin, for me, definitely, I consider him a friend. I considered him definitely a colleague. I looked at him as a fellow podcaster. I looked at him as the ones that, you know, paved the way, you know, to guys like me and many others now. And I just, besides me doing this yearly tradition of covering the Hall of Fame ceremony shows, which we've been doing for over 10 years now, within recent years, it's always been refreshing to hear what Kev has to say about the Hall of Fame ceremony, because he always, each year, he always manages to throw a couple of curveballs that I didn't quite think about as I was just kicking back and checking out some of these Hall of Fame speeches and everything. And I was just nodding my head off and on, hearing some of these speeches going, you know, I wonder what Kev would say about this. Or like, oh, what would he say about the natural disaster? So, Kev, I hope wherever you are, man, you're doing good, and I'm hoping that you're enjoying WrestleMania weekend. This Hall of Fame ceremony clocked in at over 3 hours, 21 minutes. Doesn't seem like much, does it? But then when you think about who all is supposed to be going into the Hall of Fame, you go, okay, well, it's Triple H. We've got the immortalized match of the year or whatever, or eternity, match of all eternity, Bret Hart, Stone Cold Steve Austin from WrestleMania 13 in Chicago. Okay. And both of those guys are going to be on the house. Okay. That's going to be good. Oh, we got the natural disasters. They're going to be going in. Oh, yeah. We got the legacy wing, Ivan Koloff, Kamala. Oh, yeah. Michelle McCool. Oh, yeah. Oh, and let's not forget about the game himself, Triple H. Okay, yeah. So, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. This should be good. Ha, ha, ha. Wait a minute, though. We have to also remember that Friday night, we got a new edition of SmackDown. And that was a 3-hour show. I really feel where Triple H is coming from in the interviews that he's been giving over the years, talking about how the challenge that it is for writing a 3-week show, as opposed to, if we can just get it down to 2 hours, be in and out, we'd be good to go and everything. And I think it's really hard to talk about the Hall of Fame ceremony without talking about SmackDown. And I think that's very, very fair, is it not? Because let's put the spotlight on the Hall of Fame. Everybody that watched the Hall of Fame live in real time, what was the number one thing that you noticed? Or hell, maybe there's going to be some of you guys that's going to be watching the Hall of Fame ceremony for on demand. I just hope WWE doesn't do any tweaking with the audio, try to make it come off like the crowd was reacting a certain way. Hopefully that remains intact, the original audio. But I'm more interested in those that actually watched the event live, what you all thought of it. Because if you looked at that event and said throughout, man, the energy just was not there. My God, like, are you not entertained, fans? What is going on? It just seemed like everybody got punched in the gut, and it was just quiet golf claps and everything. And look, I'll tell you exactly what it is. You are listening to somebody that as of fall 2025 will be transferring to the American University, majoring in journalism and digital storytelling. As of this summer, I'll have my associates in media production. Okay. So I know a thing or two about television production because for the past several semesters, that's pretty much what I've been doing. And it's been intense like a mofo these past 2 semesters specifically. I know a thing or two about writing a script for a TV show, writing down the format, letting it be known, okay, for this respected section, we need a lower third graphic CG that needs to appear here. We need to queue up this video slide here that's going to have a runtime of X amount of seconds. Okay, this person, we have some type of a script. We have some type of an idea of what they're going to say. We know some of the bullet points that they're going to be touching upon, but they have a hard, this is the amount of time that they've got, and we need to keep it moving along. Okay. They teach you all of this. I promise you. I promise you. Speaking as somebody that is majoring in media production and soon to be journalism over at American University. All right. I am telling you, they teach you how to do a script proposal for a TV show format, whatever you're trying to do. They teach you how to do that script and a proposal. There's a big difference between a script and a proposal. Okay. Now I might have it flipped. So you guys got to forgive me because it is almost 5:00 in the morning and I have not had any coffee, anything. So I'm just going off of memory right now. But I did try to do my best to take a nap before the Hall of Fame ceremony. The difference between a script and a proposal is the following. When it comes to your proposal, if I remember this right, your proposal basically has to do with the process message. What is it that you're trying to get across to the audience members? Whatever this show format that you're doing, like who's it aimed towards? What's the demos? What's the genders? what's the overall message? Like, are you trying to have people come away enlightened, feeling good, funny, like, educational? Like, what are you trying to do here? You trying to bring awareness? What's going on with that? And then the script is literally, essentially, that script is what typically is going to go to whoever's working your teleprompter, and like whoever you have that's going to be getting in front of the camera, everything is mapped out so that, okay, all right, this person is going to say this at this particular time, and basically it's a bible of what that person, should that person that's talking in front of that camera, should they lose their place, they can easily just look at the teleprompter, and they can just, oh yeah, and they can just go right on ahead, and let me tell you something. Teleprompter, that is a tricky son of a bitch to master. If you can master a teleprompter, especially when you're dealing with people that like to be impromptu, if you can master that teleprompter, you're going to be pretty good in that respected industry, right? But you learn a lot when it comes to the actual writing of the script, because now you're getting down to how the visual is going to look, all visuals of your show, everything. I'm going on and on and on about this because WWE, we've been seeing them doing this for years with the shows. They know a thing or two about the scripts, about the proposals, but for whatever respected reason, these past couple of years, when it's come to Hall of Fame weekend, these guys have been struggling to be in and out. I have heard from so many fans. Matter of fact, I want to give a shout out to one wrestling fan in particular, and hopefully I'll be able to pull his name up with ease. He actually was at the SmackDown show, and I asked him, I said, hey, great you were there. I said, are you by chance sticking around for the Hall of Fame ceremony? And he said, oh, God, no, Lee. Unfortunately, my tickets just for SmackDown alone was expensive as fuck. The Hall of Fame itself is expensive as fuck. Nah, man, the tickets are really expensive this go round. I just can't afford it, man. And that's been a recurring theme that I've heard from a couple of other people who I reached out to, private messages and all that. I said, yo, what's going on? How you feeling? Like, people I know for a fact would normally go to these events. Maybe they skip out on all the other WWE stuff, but like WrestleMania time they're representing, nah, it's too expensive this go round. But we had a 3-hour live SmackDown. Now just stop and think about that for a second. Out there in Las Vegas, we had a 3-hour SmackDown. 9 times out of 10, fans probably got a full day's worth. Okay? Doing the little WWE world, participating in all the nice meet and greets that was going down. Yeah, they might have went back to the hotel if it was nearby for just a hot little bit. They might have did it for a hot little bit, but for the most part, they probably was on their feet, doing their thing, going here, going this, checking that out, all that, right? And then a lot of those people was doing the double whammy. They went to SmackDown afterwards, and then they stuck around for the Hall of Fame. So I just laid the foundation down for you guys. Do the math. Look at all those hours that those fans probably were there, just involved in the whole WWE day, including live events. We're probably talking about, at least, what would you estimate? 6, maybe 7 hours? I wouldn't be surprised if some of you said, nah, Lee, I'm looking at more towards 8 or 9 hours. We can agree, nowhere near 10. That would be very shocking to hear, right? So I say all this to say WWE, as somebody that knows a thing or two about media production, about TV production, and you're trying to put out the best content that's humanly possible. Look, I love the Hall of Fame. It is my favorite, and longtime listeners know this that's been checking out my show. I love talking about the WWE Hall of Fame ceremony, from what worked, what didn't work, good speech, bad speech. Like, we're just getting started, by the way. We're not going to be long-winded like they are, though. Okay, we're going to be in and out, right? But my whole thing is WWE. From one media production guy to another, can you please get a curb stomp on the execution of these shows? And where you can start is the condensing. Why do we feel the need to have SmackDown and the Hall of Fame ceremony sandwiched in there together at the same time on the same day. Like, I don't get that. I really don't. Now, some of you guys may say, well, Lee, if it was up to you, homie, what would you do? How would you remedy this? A simple solution, honestly, I would do the Hall of Fame ceremony early in the afternoon. That is how I would do it. I would do it early in the afternoon. And it gets sweeter. If I could have it my way, not only would I do it in the afternoon, I would actually do it on a Thursday. That way, all the talents that are involved, because that's pretty much a whole red carpet. You got to be in your suit. You got to be prepared. That's gonna be like one of those all day events thing. You're probably gonna be talking to the media afterwards, right after the ceremony is over and all of that jazz. So I would like for there to be just a day in itself where, okay, it is just about the Hall of Fame. And my whole mindset is, well, what better way to do that? Because, I mean, really stop and think about it. If we can do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, of all kinds of WWE WrestleMania kickoff. This is the pre show before the actual show. If we can do all this silliness, then how is it? And I wish I had my Rubik's Cube right now, because we had The Rock with the Rubik's Cube and no, we need to have him with the WWE Hall of Fame logo, and he's looking at it, trying to figure that shit out. That would be a better image. That is how I think you fix this. You put it on a separate day. I think a Thursday works fantastic. Hell, let the son of a bitch be a part of the WWE world, since that's when usually everybody comes out and they like to load that bad boy up and bring out the statues and all kinds of cool stuff. I think that'd be a whole cool way to just knock out so many birds with one stone. Give it its own day, Thursday. Let the talents do what they need to do in hyping up the Hall of Fame. And then once that is over, okay, if there's going to be an after party, okay, guess what? They're already dressed the part. They can go do what they need to do. Boom. Easy. You still want to do SmackDown? Okay, easy. You can go right to SmackDown on Friday. Guess what? All you got to worry about is SmackDown. That's it. Bada bing, bada boom. You're done with SmackDown, boom. You move on. That is how I think they should be doing this from here on out. But even at that, they have no business going 3+ hours for an event. I think a fair, well-rounded number. Look, let's try to be done in like 2 hours, 2 hours 10. Nothing wrong with that. Give me you all's ideas. Let me know what you think. If you're down with that idea, or if you're like, no, Leah, I think it needs more tweaking. Let's actually do this instead. Do it this way. I wouldn't even be mad if the shit ended up being pre-taped. Honestly, you don't have to give it to us live on a Thursday or whatever free day you got that doesn't affect SmackDown and the people that's attending. Okay? You can tape it for all I care and give it to us later. Hey, you want to edit and do all that little fancy jazz? I'm down with that. But it's nerve-wracking. Okay. Enough of my rant. Because from here on out, we're going to be boom, 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 boom. We're almost at the 20-minute mark. My goal is to be done talking about everything 45-minute, maybe almost 50-minute mark. We're going to go nowhere near the hour. That's our goal here, all right? I got the timer on, by the way. Just a personal goal, because I want you guys to be in and out when it comes to this Hall of Fame talk and everything. But some good stuff in the Hall of Fame, some good moments. Definitely a cool photo or two I want to share with you guys that I have personally enjoyed. All right, so we kick things off with Diamond Dallas Page, WCW alumni, DDP Yoga fame. He did the honors in inducting his good friend, Lex Luger, welcoming him into the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2025. So we heard the rumors week in and week out that Sting, but doesn't look like Tony Khan. And one of the last things we heard was, well, apparently there's been no talk between WWE and AEW. Doesn't look like the powers that be have spoken with Tony Khan and them. So yeah, I guess this isn't going to be happening. I saw that chatter that was going on, and if you notice, I didn't put anything out on social media with regards to it. My whole thing was, you know what? I want to see. The proof is in the pudding. Like, I don't want to get so caught up in, let's just see how it plays out. If it happens, it happens. And if it happens, we'll have something to talk about. If it don't happen, well, I don't want to get so lost on, right? Because, when you build yourself up in anticipation, and then it's, so this is what it actually is. That's how you get yourself a little bit disappointed, right? And I know for some of us, usually weeks in advance, we get a really good idea on, okay, yeah, this person's going to be inducting them, and right. But a lot of people, and I get it. Hey, who better to induct the total package, Lex Luger, than the icon Sting, and just their journey together? And like, I get it. It makes sense. Total sense. But in retrospect, I am all right with DDP being the one to set up Lex Luger. You know why? Because I don't believe, and this is coming from someone that has listened to enough Sting interviews. I'm not talking about the in-ring promos. I'm talking about actual interviews. I'm talking about if you've had an opportunity to talk with Sting for several minutes at a convention or a meet and greet and everything. Sting isn't quite a wordy person, at least if he doesn't know you. He's not quite that guy. All right. So to have Sting be in a position where, hey, say a few good things here about the total package. I think Sting would have came up with something nice, very polished, but I don't feel it would have gotten to the core of the man that is the total package. I don't think it would have been executed so eloquently as DDP was able to lay it out. DDP did a fantastic job and really driving home the fact that, hey, we're not just celebrating the career here, the wrestling career of Lex Luger, but we're also celebrating and recognizing the fact that this man is essentially born again, because for all the gifts that this man had in the world, great looking body, phenomenal genes, the athleticism, God bestowed, God taketh. DDP, I mean, he is really good. He is a really good wordsmith, man. He really is. And for those of you that's curious, DDP did a fantastic job this go round and setting up the pitch and being in and out. DDP was so prepared this go round. He actually had a tablet that was with him. I got to give him mad kudo points for that. He didn't, one thing that I've been noticing as a aspiring journalist is a lot of the news reporters these days, when it comes to a news report, you see them with their phone or their tablet, and they are just, and they're looking down for about 5 seconds, and then they bring their head back up. And I was looking at that tablet early on, and I'm going, DDP, please, brother. Like, I know you rehearsed, but let's not see you dip your head down too much into that tablet. And sure enough, he didn't. He didn't. Like, after about, I would say maybe, maybe about five times of a head gesture looking down, he pretty much rolled the rest of the way. But I love the great job that DDP did in humanizing the hell out of Lex Luger and really bringing the general public that may not have been aware of what's been happening with Lex Luger in the previous years, bringing them up to speed on what's been going on with the man. And look, I know when it's all said and done, look, he's no saint. None of us are. We all have made mistakes. He has, by grace of God and everything, shown the error of his ways. And since 2006, this is a man that has done his very best to not just seek the Lord's forgiveness, but also change his mind, change his heart, and walk forth with a new way of living, a new way of treating his fellow man and woman. And if you show me a person, regardless of age, that is willing to say, hey, man, not only did I fuck up big time here, but I so desperately need change. I want change. I just don't know how to. You show me a person that is willing to accept that, man, I need help. Okay, give me an inch, I'll give you a mile. I'll work with you. Effort, that's what counts the most. And as I mentioned on the show in previous weeks, Lex Luger is a wrestler that I have been paying attention to off and on for years. And I have rooted him on for everything that I have seen him do. Because look, let's be real. There are fake people that will, oh yeah, I seen the light. Oh, Jesus saved me. And they talk a really good game. But behind closed doors and all that, they are fake as you know what. But Lex Luger lives it. He is about that life 24/7. And so I thought DDP did, a fantastic job. Lex Luger coming out there, very nice and humbled. Something told me they were going to have Luger try to walk his way to the podium because that's what I was anticipating. I'm very well aware of the work that DDP has done over the years with DDP Yoga. I know when it came, for example, Jake the Snake Roberts, also with Scott Hall, those were crowdfunding campaigns I contributed to. I know we brought awareness of it here on the shows. You, the listeners that haven't been listening to the shows at the time, you all contributed as well. Nothing made us more proud than seeing, oh man, look, hey, go ahead, Scott. Hey, Jake, you got new hip, you got new, hey, new teeth, all that good stuff. And so to see what's been happening with Lex Luger has been, all inspiring, definitely uplifting. And, even though he was standing at the podium, it was still a beautiful sight to see. And I would imagine if he had a little bit more strength and everything, he probably would have been able to be at the podium longer. I averaged his speech, because that's something else that we do here on a yearly basis. We average out the times of how the Hall of Fame speeches are looking. Lex Luger himself averaged about 7 minutes, 8, give or take. But he kept it short, sweet, simple, thanking the fans. I love the story there about Walmart. He truly didn't become humbled there and really started looking at the fans differently there until he went into a Walmart. I chuckled at that because I couldn't help but say, Lex, seriously, God bless you for coming away. And hey, if that's cool, man, because I know anytime I go into a Walmart, first thing I say to my wife, I go, can we get the fuck out of here already? Because it's usually packed and people are just bumping all into you. You ain't careful, you run into a shopping cart, and then you're trying to get to checkout, and then people are just, and you're like, damn, what the hell? Like, you see me walking here, run me over, why don't you? It's ridiculous there. So it's gotten to a point like I just can we go to Wegmans? Oh, that costs. I know, but I really, really don't want to go to Walmart. Like, can we go to Wegmans instead, or can we go to Amazon Fresh? Yeah, I'm bougie. I'm bougie. So hearing that whole Walmart story, very, very hilarious there. But nice tone setter. Nice tone setter. From there, we had a nice little short video package for Kamala. I'm not talking about Kamala Harris. I'm talking about the wrestler Kamala. All right, big difference there. And we saw afterwards Kamala's widow, who was in the crowd there. I was ready to hear a short little speech by her and the sons, because I know Kamala has a couple of sons, but no, we didn't get to hear them talk. I was expecting them to talk, but no, that didn't happen. Like, okay, all right, well, Legacy Award, okay, all right, sure, whatever. They did the same thing to Ivan Koloff. We might as well put that out there right now. I was definitely expecting at least a much more, okay, we'll get a segment for this one for sure. Maybe we'll get some family members that'll talk about Ivan Koloff here, because I definitely have seen my fair share of Koloff matches, and thinking back to the old territory days, thinking back to the old WWF days and all that, great feuds, Bruno, and like, oh man, we're going to maybe get some stuff. Didn't happen. Okay, all right, no problem. So we get that out the way. Dory Funk Jr., same thing. I thought for sure, Dory Funk Jr., thought for sure we were going to, didn't get that. Okay. All right, we're cruising right along. All right, cool. From there, we go to Undertaker inducting his wife, Michelle McCool, into the Hall of Fame. And this is where social media went frenzy, including yours truly, because, look, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm not going to beat around the bush. One thing you can say about me, I'm always consistent. At the same time, two things can be said that's true. You're not going to get that bullshit here, though, tonight, all right? Or this morning. So I have said this for the longest time, since it was announced that Michelle McCool was going into the WWE Hall of Fame. I have been on record, and I've said, well, wait a minute here. Wait, Michelle McCool goes into the WWE Hall of Fame before Natty? Like, if you were to say to me, Lee, guess who's going into the WWE Hall of Fame class this year? Female-wise. Oh, who? Natalia. I'd go, get the fuck out of here. Well, okay, yeah, sure. I get it. Yeah, cool. You don't need to explain anything else to me. I can just literally, without hesitation, and for those that don't know, newer listeners, when it comes to a wrestling Hall of Fame, any sports Hall of Fame, music Hall of Fame, my golden rule is, if I go, throw a name at me, and you go, here you go. If I instantly go, they're in. They're in. It's my first time hearing that name, and I go, no question, they're in. But if I even hesitate a second or more, they probably shouldn't be going in, at least, right? Not off the break. So when you say to me, Michelle McCool, WWE Hall of Fame, I literally go, because I'm trying to remember, and there's sadly, they can do all the fucking hype they want with Lay Cool. They can do that all they want. Lay Cool wasn't all it was cracked up to be. Good luck trying to make a top 10 list of Michelle McCool's best matches. I'm not saying she was a shit wrestler, because I've been here on this show and I have said to people, hey, back in her own time when she wrestled regularly, Michelle McCool put on some pretty good matches, especially during that time and what was happening with the women's division and all that. She definitely kind of stood out in her own way, but I would not put her up there. I said it back then. I'll still say it here today. Hall of Fame ring or not. I'm not going to put her up there with the Litas, the Trish Stratuses, the Molly Hollies. No, I'm not going to do that. The Mickey James, the Gail Kims, the Awesome Kongs. So she goes in before Natalya? She goes in before the great Jazz? Make that make sense to me. Wait. Okay, I'm disqualified because you guys are going to say, easily, Undertaker. Okay. Maybe it's a stroking of the egos there. Maybe they're buttering up the Undertaker biscuit there for when they get ready to maybe have him start getting his hands dirty on this whole, WWE. We believe in the children of tomorrow, right? I don't know. But the McCool speech. What's the best way I could describe this Michelle McCool speech? This Michelle McCool speech in a nutshell was, hi, I'm Michelle McCool. And the reason why I'm going into the WWE Hall of Fame is, well, everything started when I was 12 years old and I was having my box of Wheaties and drinking my orange juice one day. And I mean, look, from what all I was able to remember of Michelle Cool, the first rodeo, because I lived through it, promo talker, nothing to be desired. So you'll have to forgive me, yours truly, if I was sitting there expecting for a Michelle McCool acceptance speech to go about 7 minutes. I was not expecting for that son of a bitch to go like 30 minutes, 30 plus. Let me tell you what I was able to do during the time Michelle McCool was talking. This is fact. I was able, per my wife's request, and I pat myself on the back there because I did good. I put the laundry that she put in the wash into the dryer. And then when I was done with that, I decided to wash some dishes. I let my 3 dogs out so they could go use it. I went and checked the mail, checked emails, sat down and watched the about 3-minute trailer for the new Fantastic Four First Steps movie. Looks fantastic, by the way, if you haven't seen the trailer yet. Oh, and I had a brief phone call with a classmate. That lasted about 5 minutes, that phone call. I was able to do all those goddamn things. And don't you know, son of a bitch, that woman was still talking. And there was just a whole lot of... To social media we go. Your man is hot. I'm hot. I'm just getting started. One of the first things that I put out there, I said, my people, how is this speech going longer than Lex Luger, who spoke for like 7 minutes? How does that make any sense? And I talked about how I did, laundry and all that other stuff. And special shout out to Nishi, who said, yes, I like. It's cute, but not when Luger was able to gracefully say it all in 7 minutes and Kamala got 0. Nishi, I'll see you and I'll raise you. How we got Kamala's family like not saying shit, and then Ivan Koloff's family not able to say shit. Okay, so I see you and I raised you there. Like, I feel you though. I feel you. Okay, and then we had see this. Hang on. And then we had Ronald. And I gave him credit. I said it's a very fair point because he did make a very fair point here. He said, excuse me, you gotta forgive me. This cold, I'll try to mute myself if I can. I'm still recovering from this cold. Ronald said way too long, but to be fair, Luger only gave his speech for as long as he could stand. And that's a very fair point, Ronald, because not for nothing, but I believe one of Luger's sons, I think that might have been his son that was over to his respected right. So it would have been the left side of our screens. And DDP was on the other side, just kind of catch him if he was getting ready to have a little bit of a stumble there. Because he was supposed to walk, I guess, from the curtain to the podium, but he took a little bit of a bump transferring from his wheelchair to his Uber, I guess a couple of hours before. So that pretty much had got scrapped, unfortunately. But another point that I had made in regards to this Michelle McCool speech, really, this was just, and look, I'm not being mean, I'm not being savage, I'm not being a dick. Like, trust me, I was peeping out what a lot of people were saying on social media here. And, a lot of people were not feeling the length of this speech. For others, it was, what the hell is she talking about? It's just a whole bunch of jibber jabber, that's being heard here. Like, what the hell? Let's see here. I'm looking, give me a second here. Looking at this other post here. Yeah, we got that one. Speech too long. I got a lot to say about the Triple H opportunity for the promo that Triple H had gave. That was, I got to say, my most favorite. And surprisingly, spoiler alert, Triple H's speech went much longer than Michelle McCool's. He doubled. He doubled in time. We've clocked him in at an hour. Now, some of you guys may say, well, wait a minute, Lee. Lee, you're being sexist. No. I've heard better female speeches in my time, and we've been doing this for years, especially with the WWE Hall of Fame. Yours truly has heard better speeches by females than what I heard tonight from Michelle McCool. Look, does anybody remember Queen Charmel's speech from a couple of years ago? It's okay if you're like, nah. It's okay if that's like, I do. I remember some of the stuff that she touched upon. I also remember the fact that for the career that she managed to have, which I would say, by the way, I could make an argument that her career, Queen Charmel, I can make an argument that her career is a little bit more impactful than Michelle McCool. Challenge me and we'll do a debate. Charmel's speech was shorter than what Michelle McCool put out there. I said this on social media with regards to Michelle McCool. I said, guys, you got to tighten up on the time restraints. She had no business going longer than Lex Luger. That was pretty bad. There's probably only one thing I would change about that statement, which is I think that should be changed to she really has no business going longer than Lex Luger or the other inductees. Because stay with me here, because before you guys go, right? So you don't already heard me say, no. I've heard better speeches from other female wrestlers. So, right? So you can't go that right. Well, what else you got, right? Well, Lee, they had to kill time. And well, let me ask you this. You like Stone Cold Steve Austin, right? Yeah. You like CM Punk, right? Yeah. You like Bret Hart, right? Yeah. Just imagine if I gave you all 3 scoops of that on one cone. Wouldn't you like that? Oh, yeah. Okay. That's great. I'm going to give that to you later on in the show, but guess what? I'm going to shorten the hell out of that segment. So Michelle McCool ate up the time for those guys. And look, I know enough about Bret Hart. I've heard his interviews, seen his interviews, met him in person. Great guy. Bret want to be in and out. That's how he rolled. Stone Cold Steve Austin, that dude is just pretty much, to the point, all that good stuff, right? Michelle McCool, that thing was a nosedive. Let's be for real. That was a nosedive. It is a lesson that in the Triple H itself, but Triple H, I'm gonna come back to Triple H in a hot second here, but putting a pretty little ribbon around Michelle McCool, just that was a perfect example of okay, you are going into Mr. T territory. Let's be real. And if you are not the Undertaker's wife, let's be real, okay? Let's keep it at 100. No way, no how you'd get a whiff of the WWE Hall of Fame. Sad but true. To quote Metallica. More on Metallica later as well. From there, natural disasters. Nice video package set up for them. I thought the family of John Tenta and what they had to say, uh, very touching. It definitely tugged at my heart. I loved it. Loved every minute of it. Big old tugboat, still emotional, still feeling all these years later the loss of his good friend. I got to tell you, that was a death that has shocked a lot of us in the wrestling community. Because back then, yeah, we kind of had the internet, but not to the magnitude of where it is right now. You know, we unfortunately weren't aware of what was going on with John Tenta until the news came out that he died. And then it was like, well, what the hell? You know what? Oh, my God. To see Tugboat still pretty emotional all these years later, oof. You can feel the impact. You can feel the impact. You know, but I took solace in the fact that, well, at least we still got one of them, and one of them is able to, hey, man, we're here. We're in this moment. I didn't just get my ring, but I got your ring too, man. Like, here we go. Right. And it's also nice to see that the family, for what it's worth, despite the fact that, okay, well, their dad, your best friend, well, the connection, it's now severed because this person has passed. And it's nice to know that all these years later, basically, they've been in contact, right? Because unfortunately, yeah, that's usually what happens when that one person dies. Oh, this was the one that connected us all, right? And once that person dies, it's like somehow the communications, like no matter how cordial, no matter how tight it might have seemed these people were when they all got together, because this one person had died, like everything just collapsed. So nice to see that these guys were able to continue to stay together, stay in contact, basically continue to be family, if you will. Because they called him Uncle, for Christ's sake. I'm talking about Tugboat. They called him Uncle Fred. As a matter of fact, Uncle Fred. It's nice to see it all these years later, that that's still intact. Because I know for a lot of families, especially when it involves in-laws that you actually like, it's it's a rarity. It really, really is. I cannot stress that enough. All right, from there, the Immortal moment. And I want to pull up my screen for this one to show you. So, the Immortal moment, WrestleMania 13, Chicago submission match, Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. I freaking love this moment. Love the fact that CM Punk was out there. He had 2 minutes that he needed to kill. you know, I'm telling you, man. It's like I could have listened to just all these guys in this particular segment, just go on and on and on and everything. But this match, I cannot stress it for newer wrestling fans out there. I even want to put this out there for, to a degree, aspiring wrestlers. you're thinking about getting into the business, and you want to learn some really good fundamentals, you want to learn a thing or two about storytelling and all that good stuff, this is without a doubt an iconic match that transcends time. It transcends. It transcends all. This is a match, you know how much, if you're a longtime listener, how much of a big music fan I am. And I always say, hey, my favorite album is an album that is years ahead of its time, decades ahead of its time, an album that still holds up to this very day. And I will always say this till the day I die, which is, if you were to ask me what is one of my favorite albums of all time that still holds up to this very day, I will tell you Marvin Gaye's What's Going On. When I look at my wrestling, and if I could pick just one match where I got to sit somebody down and go, check this shit out. Bret Hart, Stone Cold Steve Austin, WrestleMania 13, definitely a defining moment. A defining moment. Still holds up to this very day. I still find myself, not as much as I used to, because usually I would watch that match about 3 times a year. Now I've gotten to that point in the later years where maybe I'll watch it once a year, or maybe every year and a half. I'll find myself watching that match. I love hearing Stone Cold Steve Austin and Bret Hart come out there and talk. Bret looking pretty good, very well rested and everything. Steve Austin looking to be in the best phenomenal shape possible there. I love the fact that Steve Austin, during his acceptance speech there, he gave a little bit of a nod to Triple H there, and was mentioning how, there's always been this mutual respect between the two of them. They've always had this open dialogue with one another here. I want to show you guys the bus. Everybody, to Triple H's point, everybody can be a critic. It's true, right? We got people that's going, oh, that bus is ugly. That thing is atrocious. It's like, no, the Stone Cold Steve Austin, I'm literally looking right at it now that it's a bigger blown up image. And I want to show it to you guys right now. I'm looking at it and I'm going, I don't have any issues with it. This isn't the Dwayne Wade fucking statue, right? It's not one of those type of deals that we got. Let's see here. I want to share my screen. Yes, that's what I want to share. Yep. Yep, that's it. Check this out. Oh, hang on, guys. So I got that blown up, right? But hang on. Oh, let's go back in here. There we go. And let's hide. Hang on here. I need media assets. There we go. Hey, guys. There you go. I mean, look at that bad boy. Is that cool or what? I want to see if I can maybe blow this up a little bit more for you guys here. I think whoever did this needs to be commended, because this was amazing. Let me try to blow this up. I don't know if I can, but let's see. Yeah, I don't think I can blow that up. Can I zoom in? Yeah, that's about as good as it's going to get. No, I personally dig it. I wasn't sure what was under there when I first saw it. But I think they did a really good job, all things considered. I'm curious to learn the process. Exactly how long did it take? What were they rendering from? Were they going off of reference photos? Were they going off of, and of those reference photos, as far as the stockpile goes, how far back was it? Was this truly a case where it was the artist's rendition, where it was like, okay, here's how they look, and now you just do your own impression of them? I'm very, very curious about the whole process. I promise you, this picture does not do it justice. It does not do it justice. I have a feeling that, and I can tell just from, because this isn't even the best high resolution picture that I took when I had first saw this. But I would imagine that before NXT's takeover event, there should be some better high quality, high resolution images that's out there. And I promise you, if this looks a little bit, just wait for those high res. You're going to be like, wait a minute, this looks pretty damn good. Nice, cool moment though, and I'm glad that CM Punk was able to be right there in that moment, taking it in with the guys and everything. By the way, shout out to Pat McAfee, as Stone Cold Steve Austin wanted to end this segment by having a beer celebration and all that, and Steve Austin showing respect to Brett. Hey, I don't know if you drink beer, Brett, but I want to at least open one up with you and we celebrate this cool milestone because this is really cool. And Brett, freaking cool. He actually had a sip of the beer and everything. But I'm saying shout out to Pat McAfee because McAfee ended up coming on stage, giving the guys beer. And when he went to cheer Bret Hart, got a little beer there on Brett, and he was so quick to apologize. I just love that. I always have a rule of thumb, which is if you want to know about somebody, and let me just take this off now so you guys can see me again. Hi, give me a second here. Let me figure this out. I've always had a rule of thumb, like if you want to know somebody's genuine personality, you want to know where their heart is, what they're really about and all that. Watch the way that they treat, and I'm not saying this as disrespect because it's not disrespect, but watch how they treat the elderly, watch how they treat people with disability, watch how they treat children, watch how they treat pets, watch how they treat those that came before them. And then just in that moment, just seeing Pat McAfee immediately apologized to Brett for getting just a little bit of beer on him after cheersing him. Like, Pat, you all right, buddy? You all right? Let's go a couple of more minutes. I know we said we were going to stay away from an hour, but we're good. We're good. Because the Triple H stuff, can we at least commit to keeping this under an hour 15? Can we do that? I think we can go ahead and do that. We can commit to that at least. Triple H. Who didn't he name in this damn speech that went 60 minutes long? Now he knows how it feels. He was bringing up Mr. T and all that. Honestly, I didn't think we were going to be going home. I did not think we were ever going to be seeing this go off the air. I felt that maybe we were all going to eventually walk away from our TV sets, go to sleep or whatever, come back about 5 hours later, and Triple H would still be talking. I honestly thought that's what was going to be happening here. Triple H, this I'm at a loss for words because the way this speech had went. Oh man, there's a lot of it that resonated with me very well. The main core being the whole health scare that he had a couple of years back. And to his point about taking a step back, reassess. Wait a minute here. Let me get my priorities right as far as what are the most important things and my life. In Triple H's case, his wife, his kids. Nothing else even mattered after that, you know. Things start really coming into clarity, you know, taking that moment, and that really resonated with me so well on so many levels. You know, I'm not making it be about me, but and I'm not, but I think if you heard this speech and you really took a step back and you listened to it, I'm sure whether you're having your own respected health issues, or you have a family member or know somebody directly that's having some type of health issue, some personal stuff that's going on, you know, nothing shakes you up a little bit more than when you have a health scare and you're like, and I know as a wrestling community, you know, we mentioned Kev at the top, you know, that definitely has shook a lot of us there, and it definitely made us start really appreciating the here and the now, and not take life for granted and everything, you know. And it was nice hearing Triple H's journey. You know, I mean, for me, I didn't need the revisionist history, nor was that what was given here. I really didn't need the trip down memory lane because, my God, what don't I know about Triple H? I've read whatever book he's put out or books. I've read countless interviews, listened to countless interviews. I've got his DVDs. You know, for me, this wasn't a case of tell me something new. For me, this was a moment where I just literally said, the fandom in me that appreciates all things Triple H, I just want to sit back and enjoy this moment. I'm glad this guy is getting his flowers while he's still alive. And not to mention, yeah, for what he's doing for the WWE right now, a little bit hiccupy in some areas, but for the most part, doing okay. He's doing all right, right? Loved hearing him bring up Rich Herring, who's been with the company now for over 55 years. He goes back to the WWF days. So we talking Vince McMahon Sr. Good God Almighty. Also brought up Terry Taylor, Steve Regal. Funny ass Click story. I loved hearing that Click story. You know, I think if that would have been you, me, or anybody else, and like that's the very first ride that you do with Kevin Nash, Shawn Michaels, Sean Waltman, Scott Hall, just thinking of that crazy story, and like they're not sure if Sean Waltman's dying or what. Just hearing that crazy story, and you're like, uh, and then afterwards he's okay. I think anybody else would have been like, yeah, I am hightailing it out of here. I am just gonna continue to ride by myself. Thank you very much. And yet he continued to ride with them. Most surprising was when he gave props to China Joni Lauer. I did not expect that to happen. That came so left field and everything. I love the kind words that he brought up for her. Brought up Steve Austin. Mentioned the fact that when he was in WCW, apparently Steve Austin was one of those rare guys in WCW, and you heard how it was back then. Uh, you know, with a lot of guys there in WCW, you know, very power hungry, trying to do everything they can to keep their spot. Whole lot of backstabbing and politicking, siding with this person, and you know what clique you running with? You know, I want to be in with you guys because you guys seem untouchable, and all this other stuff. Steve Austin, very early on, gave Triple H some pointers, all that good stuff, and it was a thing that even when Triple H came to the WWF he afterwards, like him and Stone Cold, they continue to have that camaraderie. They continue to have that respect. They would always have that open dialogue to the point. Honesty. Triple H always knew he could get honesty from Stone Cold and vice versa. You know, for those of you that's been looking at the whole absence of Steve Austin in the Triple H Paul Levesque era, I hope after the ceremony you guys are going, it's just a matter of when Stone Cold does something again with the WWE, involving the fans, being on TV rather than if. Like I think at this point it will happen, right? It's not a matter of if, it's when. And that when could literally be before the weekend is out. I mean, you just don't know. You just don't know. It literally could be coming though, somewhere down the pipeline. Thanked a whole lot of people, Michael Hayes, everybody. But you were kind of telling early on here, you could kind of tell that, okay, we're kind of dancing around here. We're dancing around a big elephant in the room. That elephant that is Vince McMahon. How are we going to address this? He gets to Linda McMahon. I was expecting some boos. I was expecting a lot of boos. I think if it would have been much earlier in the night and this would have been truly an energetic crowd, they probably would have tried to go there with Linda. But they let her off the hook big time. I gotta say, I was quiet. I thought for sure she was going to get chomped up there. I thought for sure. Didn't happen though. Uh, Talking about Vince. For anybody that was expecting for Triple H, and I really want you to stop and think about this for a second. Were you really expecting for Triple H during his acceptance speech to take a massive shit on his father-in-law? Were you really expecting that? Because if you really were expecting that, I got bad news for you. Like, that was never ever going to happen. Never. I think the way he addressed it was very smooth, very thought provoking, because it demonstrated to me that he put a lot of time and emphasis on talking about Vince. And the one time that he does bring up Vince by name, only mentions the name once. Now, some people may say twice, really once. And for him to basically say, it's complicated. That's how some relationships are. That's how some associations are with people. We all have been there. We've done that. Let's be real. We know of people who we're associated with them. We know them. There's some complications in there, to the point that when we get around our peers, our friends, what have you, oh, you still talk to, yeah, what that motherfucker up to? Oh, I can't believe you still friends with that. Well, it's complicated. What more needs to be said? I mean, we totally get that from Triple H. I mean, seriously. To think about all the shit and what we got from Triple H, I would like to believe that if he could have said more, he would have. Now, I think the right question that you should be asking, if you want to ask me or if you want to ask yourselves, is okay, so Triple H address Vince. Okay, it's complicated. But man, if there was ever a time to really say something a little bit more here and really planting his flag in that soil and letting it be known that, hey, I got 3 daughters here, and yeah, man, not on my watch. Not on my watch. I'm going to tell you something I had learned recently. And this might not gel well with a lot of people. It might not. But hopefully, the vast majority of you all will get this point. So, I'll give you the bullet points. Just, it's going to tie nice, pretty little ribbon around all of this. So, I had this production a couple of weeks ago. It bombed big time. It bombed because the person that was supposed to be our director decided they wanted to have their fingerprints on helping us out with video editing and all that. And let's be for real, when somebody offers to help you, you want to take advantage of it because it's less of a workload for you and you can focus on other areas. That's not so complicated. Day of production, we find out less than an hour before we're due for class that none of the video elements have been rendered, edited. So we're going into production without anything. And that was 90% of our production. 90% of our production. So we bombed. We tried to come up with some last minute stuff. We bombed big time. Now, I got to choose my next words carefully because I don't need this coming back. Because I know certain people watch. But when all of that had went down, there was a matter of the blame game. Who's at fault for this? Why did this happen? Da, 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 da. And now we have a situation where feelings are getting kind of caught up. It shouldn't have happened, da, 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 right? So at this point, you're looking at the relationships that's been established over the past couple of weeks and working on this project. And now you're going, oh man, this just became complicated. Because guess what? Now somehow all of these personalities, they still have to come together and put another production together. They got to now push to the side what had happened. And they got to somehow focus on the task at hand. And God damn it, they got to figure out how to hit a home run and do it as a team. It's complicated. Some relationships are like that. I think Triple H and what he said, it was just enough. I can only imagine the conversations that he has had with his father-in-law about these allegations. I can only imagine the disgust, the disappointment. Lord knows when shit was getting ready to hit the fan, most likely this is why Stephanie McMahon had bounced because she didn't want to, right? Mr. McMahon's lawyer, the OG lawyer that was with him for the longest time, see how he bounced? Like, so many people were just, because they knew what was getting ready to come down the pipeline there. They knew what was about to go down. And they did not want to be nowhere near that shit. And can you blame them? And so for Triple H, Paul Levesque to be in the position that he was in, actually still in, when you think about it. I'm sure with him as a husband and a father, he's probably looking at his father-in-law, hearing about some of that shit. And I wouldn't be surprised if maybe at some point he's had conversations with his girls. Grandpa do anything weird to y'all? Doing okay? Well, let me know. I'm sure he quietly has said that. I wouldn't be surprised if Steph might have. You can't put it past him, right? I mean, seriously, you can't put it past him. But anybody that was looking for more stuff to be said about Vince and allegations and all of that, you weren't gonna get it, and you can just tell that how much of a, I don't think burden. I think the better choice of words to use here is just how much it weighs on him. And that in spite of all that's going on with that guy, even more the reason why, hey, you need to succeed in what you're doing with the WWE. He broke down multiple times, especially when it came to the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. That was really cool. Loved hearing and seeing him get emotional about HBK, Shawn Michaels. It took some years, but my question was finally answered. Um, in regards to Shawn Michaels, Triple H. If you know, you know. Otherwise, you need to go check out the archives. A little Easter egg in there for you. Triple H long-winded, but I enjoyed hearing him talk. I could have just, he kept me engaged, and I'm a big sucker for that. As long as you've got me engaged, I'm there, man. I'm with you. Whatever story you're trying to tell, I am legit there. We could have dialed it back quite a bit. We could have definitely done that. But all in all, decent Hall of Fame ceremony there. Bringing up, I gotta make sure I bring these points up. Bringing up Randy Orton, Dave Batista. Dave Batista turns out was not in attendance, letting it be known that he has appreciated the type of men that these men have become, and that it greatly inspired him. And it's kind of one of those early plants there, early foundations of what ultimately would become of NXT. That great feeling that he was having with the click and wanting to continue to have that energy play out every single week, keeping that fun energy there. And that's pretty much what they got there with NXT and everything. Gave Shane McMahon a shout out saying that he missed them and hope that they get to talk soon. Wish that in the near future he didn't jump off some high ladder somewhere. But Vince again complicated, but recognize the fact that as far as his relationship with Vince goes, that's his friend, his mentor, his father-in-law. It's complicated, owes him so much. Very appreciative, very grateful for all the lessons that he's learned from him. What more can you say? What more are you supposed to say? Because at the end of the day, no matter how you may personally feel for Stephanie McMahon, that's her father. I don't expect younger listeners to really get it, but more mature listeners definitely get it. I know for me and my wife, we always butt heads over her father, especially with the latest health scare. I know longtime listeners are aware of it, but his recent health scare. He was not listening to the doctors, not trying to take his meds, not trying to use his walker, yelling at her a certain way. And I'm like, why are you continuing to, and she's like, well, it's my dad. It's like, yeah, but no, you shouldn't be treated like that. Like, put your foot down. Like, don't take that shit. Like, what the hell? And it's one of those. It's complicated. Say less. Might not be the best answer to hear, but when you get to a certain point in your life, you get it. To the polls we go. I asked you guys, what did you think about the WWE Hall of Fame ceremony? Oh, we got a dumbass person in the comments here. In regards to Michelle McCool. She is the headliner, along with Triple H. Duh. Idiotic comments like that is why sometimes it's not good that everybody has a social media account. Because let me tell you something. Just because I get billing for a Hall of Fame ceremony, right? Come see Lee Sanders inducted in the 2025 podcasting class. And there's like 8 people that, you're going to hear from. It doesn't mean that you talk on and on and on and on and on. You know who I would expect to talk at great length about their career? Because wow, you were at it for such a significant period of time there. Oh my God. I'm gonna look at a Trish Stratus. I'm gonna be like, wow, Trish Stratus, my God, wow, you did like 25 years. Yeah, you know what? You telling me I'm gonna be hearing from you for about 25, 30 minutes? Well, there's some fun little nuggets of information that's in there. There's some fun little stories that you're gonna be able to tell. Okay, I'm down with that. Let's go. Let's go. I mentioned Natalia earlier. Natalia's been at it long time. The stories that she can tell, her legendary family, right? I'm sold on that. But please, people, if you're going to try to come at me talking about some Michelle McCool, you better come with your lunch, okay? You better come with your lunch because we're talking about somebody that was part of WWE for like, what, 3 years? Maybe 4 years? Let me see if I got this straight. For you people that want to defend Michelle McCool. So I'm going to listen to somebody talk 30 plus minutes over a 3-4 year career when I can have Jazz, when I can have Natty, when I can have Awesome Kong. Come on now. Come on now. Y'all got to do better than that. Y'all got to do better than that. All right, let's go to the poll in here. Let's see how you guys voted. Oh my God, you guys are fucking funny. And I hope you guys remember this. So if somebody tries to come at you and you get some hate in regards to Michelle McCool, you stand your ground and you be like, wait a minute. You really want to glorify? You really, of all the things you want to fall on the sword for, you want to fall on the sword for a person that pretty much had like a 3 to 4 year career? A 3 to a 4 year career? This is really? Hit them with that. That should shut their ass down. All right, let's see what we got here. I asked you guys, what did you think of the WWE Hall of Fame ceremony? 7% of you said it was average. 34% of you said it was terrible, too long. 57% of you said way too long, but good. I'm with that majority. Way too long, but good. We got to do better with the time restraints. We do better with the time restraints. It's good. It needs to feel and be more practical. The Hall of Fame class, great class. But in the areas where you felt like, okay, as far as time restraints go, like, I don't think anybody anticipated that Michelle McCool was going to be going as long as she did. And that, unfortunately, the longer that things went, the longer that you just was like, let's keep it moving along here. So some interesting comments coming in there. I'm just trying to see one last time what's going on here, making sure I'm updated here on all the comments here. Paulie, I just now am seeing Paulie in regards to the Michelle McCool segment. Yeah, this is weird. Not feeling it. Robert, 10,000. What else we got here? Just want to go back, see what other comments we got coming in here. By the way, WWE, put that bust up on shop. Give us some replica versions of that. And if you were to charge about $200, you got money. It's going to be printed money. Promise you. Let's see. I think that is it. Let me just make sure. Let me go to my mentions because sometimes I can miss shit when I go in the mentions. I think we're caught up though, but just bear with me. And then while I'm pulling up, making sure I'm not missing anybody's comments, because there's nothing that I hate more than when I miss a comment once the stream ends here. Quick program and notes. I'm going to be back later on. Oh, wow. Shout out to Javier Gonzalez, who says, oh, yeah. I remember you. I read that earlier. I got you. Son of, I don't know how to pronounce that one, is Lalo, who talked about how it was morning in the eastern part of the world. I'm not sure where he is. Is he in Africa? Where is he? Hang on here. Where is this person? You got me. Oh, wait. Kenya. He's from Kenya. Yeah, that reminds me. So this event on the East Coast came on at 1 o'clock in the morning. So that would have been 10 o'clock Pacific. I remember some of our listeners that's in Germany, it started at 7 a.m. So, like, definitely for us in the US, we shouldn't be complaining because our friends overseas, they had it much worse tonight. Without a doubt, they had it much worse tonight. Let's see here. Looks like we're caught up. Yeah. So quick programming notes. So later this afternoon, I'll be back on the air with you guys. We'll be talking on the NXT Takeover event. I'm looking forward to doing the post show on that one. That's going to be early in the afternoon too. So we'll be able to get that out the way, no problem. And then we got the night one WrestleMania 41 post show. We'll be live as soon as that bad boy wraps up. Looking forward to that. Then we're going to have night two WrestleMania post show. Definitely put some nice, pretty little thoughts on WrestleMania as a whole on that Sunday night post show. So it is going to be good. I love this time of the year. I wouldn't miss it for the world. I'm glad that I am feeling a bit rested up, feeling a lot better than a few days ago. I got to be honest, I thought for the first time in our show history, we were going to be missing WrestleMania coverage because that has been, you guys don't know, that's how sick I was several days ago. It's really only in the last 2 days that I'm finally, I didn't even have a voice, believe it or not. So I am very happy to be with you guys for this WrestleMania weekend. Look, we're gonna have some fun. I know the card. It's like, which by the way, I'm gonna put out a YouTube short sometime Saturday afternoon, way before Takeover comes on. I'll offer up some WrestleMania predictions. I know the card is kind of, there's some good stuff in there where you're like, that looks good. This looks promising. Also, this surprise could be going down. Yo, this could be happening right here. So keep your fingers crossed. You know, it's going to be some good stuff that we got going on here. Let's see here. Shout out to Rick. I know Rick had posted something earlier here. Rick saying WWE should just preempt SmackDown for the WWE Hall of Fame. See, I think where Rick and others, I think where you start getting into the weeds of things when it comes to that is the exclusive rights and all that. You feel where I'm coming from? Because look, if this is a case where the deal that WWE has inked out with, for example, NBC, you know, Peacock and all that, and it's like, hey, when it comes to, when it comes to this show, you know, we want XYZ, okay, and as part of that deal, you know, we get the exclusive rights to this. Then that explains for all it's worth why, okay, we're only going to get this because you understand what I'm saying? I hope that makes sense. Basically in layman's terms, it would be very easy to go, well, why not just do 2 hours of SmackDown and do a 1 hour Hall of Fame? That's really challenging for one, because you're talking about doing a lot of condensing. I mean, I think it could be done, but that's a lot of, I mean, you got to be boom, 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 right? But then you also got to think about the contract deal that WWE has with NBC Universal, which trace the dots, all that, everything ties back to USA Network there for SmackDown and everything. USA Network, of course, is part of NBC Universal. So, you know, that's where you're kind of in the weeds there a little bit. But your whole idea, general idea about preempting SmackDown for the WWE Hall of Fame, you're missing out on so much revenue. You feel me? Like, we're in this day and age now, and I've talked about this constantly over the years. Media consumption, media consumption, media consumption, media consumption. You know, the way that we're going about our media, it is just a fucking monopoly when it's all said and done. And you see how WWE is operating here, right? So 1 minute you'll, hey, come over here to Hulu, because if you come over here to Hulu, you get this exclusive content over here. Come on over to Tubi, because when you come on over to Tubi, you get this exclusive content over here. Come on over here to Netflix, because you get this over here. Come on over to USA, because you get, come on over to Peacock, because you get this. You know, it's all about, it's a lot of weeding out. I would be more interested in seeing what's going to happen once that NBC Universal deal comes up. Does SmackDown continue? Does WWE continue to do things on Peacock? Or will they finally just branch away and try to put it all on Netflix? Or do they test out other avenues. Is maybe Amazon a possibility? We'll have to see how that all plays out in the next handful of years. Preempting SmackDown for the WWE Hall of Fame. I mean, you would think it would be a no-brainer, but it depends on the language of the contract, because if WWE is responsible for filling a quota where every quarter or by the end of the year, like this amount of content has to be made available in original Peacock programming. You feel where I'm coming from, Rick, and everybody else? That's where things start to get a little. And then if you're talking about trimming, then obviously, if you're WWE, you're going to be hurting your pocket a little bit as a result. Especially if it's a situation where, look, the paperwork has already been signed. You know, this is what you agreed to do. This is what we're holding you to do. We're holding you accountable for this. So this is what you need to do. You don't want to get into legal issues and all that other shit. Let's all agree on this though. They got to do better with the time. They got to do better with the time. Look, for a 3.5 hour show, what I say, 3 hours, 21 minutes, something like that, for an almost 3.5 hour show, I think this show would have flown by much quicker if it wasn't a case where you had to sit through SmackDown and then you had to sit through 2 hours, and we already know what's going on as far as red carpet talk. That's really 2 hours while we get the daggone Hall of Fame stage and set up nice and hooked up. Like, I mean, we know that clear as day, right? But you're talking 3 hours for your SmackDown, okay? 2 hours for your little red carpet, build your Hall of Fame, and then you want to do 3 hours for, oof. If you've been to your fair share of conventions, my friends, ain't nobody doing a convention 8 hours straight. Motherfuckers are going to be going to go get a bite to eat. They're going to go back to their hotel. They're going to go rest for a little bit. Maybe they might take a quick little nap or just stretch out in their room, watch a little TV, make a couple of calls, check the emails, and maybe get back out there in a couple of hours. And right. So look, we understand what was going on for a lot of the people, from the talents, tech crew, like everybody involved, fans. We can understand it if everybody felt a little bit flabbergasted and all that. No, I think the path going forward is the Hall of Fame ceremony just needs to have its own respected day. Because the idea of SmackDown, it's going to be preempted for, or no SmackDown this week, like, no, it's not happening. It's not happening. You can forget that. That ain't never going to happen. That ain't never going to happen. So instead, as I like to say, work smarter, not harder. Holla at your man on social media. Use the keywords, the RCWR show. Great to be back with you guys. Get your podcast, all that good stuff, wherever. You know how to do it. We'll do this later on this afternoon. I got some WrestleMania picks, and we'll do the NXT TakeOver post show. Until next go round, my pretty babies. Wishing all y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. I'll see you guys in a little bit. We just getting started. Take care, y'all. Peace.